Hello, everybody. This is MoveEasy Yoga with Via and Kathy and the tribe, the rest of the tribe. And today is September 25th of 2021. We're going to start with static rest, putting your feet up for 7 minutes. We're going to be up on legs and knees bent, and up on something, a chair. And just watching the breath and allowing your psoas to release. And before you start, actually go ahead and tilt your pelvis forward and backward just a little bit to find your perfect position for the pelvis. So that you're not going to lift anything off the floor. You're just going to, the tailbone comes up and then the tailbone goes down towards the floor, and just find that those directions of movement that are available to the pelvis, and then rest in a neutral position. Okay, stay there. And just gently rock your head, look to one side and the other. About 6 times. Releasing the neck and shoulders. The jaw. And when you finish that, come back to center and make a figure 8 with your nose 6 times, one way and 6 times another. Come back to center, vagus nerve reset. Don't move anything. You may want to put your head on your stacked hands or a therapy ball or a sponge ball or a stack of towels. Whatever you do from there, from your little perch, just drop the occipital ridge back into the floor, the towel, the balls. Hold for a minute. And then release. And always focusing on dropping the occipital ridge, the base of the skull.
Are we doing head ramping or vagus nerve?
Oh, whoops. Oh, I did this again. Okay, never mind. Let's see. Let's finish. Let's finish head ramping. Then we'll do vagus nerve.
Okay.
Sorry. I did this once before, and then I actually separated the two things widely, so I wouldn't do it again, but here I am, off on autopilot. Go ahead and, good thing Kathy can call me on this, because otherwise I would just drift off, or I could just drift off. So let's do head ramping, and then we'll do a vagus nerve reset. You could do this seated, standing. And before we go to vagus nerve reset, so that I can separate them in my mind, bring your arms up into cactus pose, bend arms, bend elbows. See if you can get your arms to the floor like Kathy is. If you can't, try to, you might want to put a pillow or some towels or something under your arms. So from there, now do this movement 6 times, just straighten your arms, straighten your arms. Straight out overhead by your ears, Kathy. There. Now bring it back to cactus. And then this is a postural movement that helps you open your chest and try to crawl the arms along the floor if you can, as you straighten them up. Some of you might not be able to get your arms close to the floor, then just straighten, do the best you can. Bent elbows, straight arms. Both of them. And a couple more times. Bent and straighten. And again. And now, now that we've separated head ramping from vagus nerve reset, we're going to vagus nerve reset. Don't move anything. As you know, all you're moving is your eyeballs. So find a comfortable position to do that from. Kathy has just a stack of washcloths under her head. Without moving anything but your eyeballs, shift your eyeballs to the right and wait for a sigh, swallow, yawn, or gulp. Come back. And go to the other side. Shift your eyeballs only, nothing else moves. Tripping the vagus nerve with the eyeball nerve, the eyeball nerve. Come on back, do that 2 more times without my cueing. And whenever you're finished, you can come off of your chair, off out of the static rest, and into a side-lying position with your head on a brick. We're going to do side-lying shoulders series. So today we're working on shoulders and wrists, shoulders and arms. The first thing you're going to do is a lateral abduction, adduction. So we're not going to do everything that we do when we do the side-lying practice. So you're just going to start with your arms straight out in front of you and then bring it up to the ceiling and back. So lateral, abduction, adduction, sunrise, sunset. And slowly, and be aware of the movement and your breath. So you may want to assign a breath, inhaling one direction and exhaling the other. And let's do one more. And come back. Bring your arm to rest at your hip for a minute, for a second. We're going to do shoulder circles. So just starting, bring your arm behind you. Try to keep your shoulders stacked. Bring your arm behind you, overhead, in front of you. And reverse your direction. And then come back and rest your arm on your hip. Now we're going to do a spine twist chest opener. So just bring your arm up towards the ceiling and then back behind you. And just see if you can have it meet the floor or maybe meet a brick. And this is a passive stretch. It's a spine twist and a chest opener. You should feel a lot of opening in the front of the chest. And just breathing. And come back and switch sides. So you may want to put your brick at the other end of the mat. And starting with lateral, abduction, adduction. Just take your arm and bring it up. Straight up to the ceiling and then straight down to parallel. And try to do this movement with awareness. It's a functional movement. You don't want to go all the way back. We're not doing the chest opener that we're going to do later. And just up you go and down. And now put your hand on your hip and just relax it on the hip to rest for a minute. And then we're going to start the shoulder circles, starting with the arm coming back behind you. And then overhead, in front of you, by your hip. And do this about 5 more times. Taking it easy, keeping the shoulders stacked, breathing, aware of breath, aware of movement. And then whenever you've done about 6, go ahead and reverse your direction and do your shoulder circle in the opposite direction. The shoulder circle is wonderful because it hits all of the ranges of motion, the directions of motion that are available to the shoulder. Without much cueing, because the arm has to go a particular way. You'll notice as when you move, when you circle. When you're done, the next thing you're going to do is that chest opener, spine twist. So starting on your side, bring your arm up, top arm up and over and behind you, and try to get it to the floor. And just stay here and breathe. Should feel a big opening on the right at your armpit. And you've rotated the thoracic spine as well. So this is both a spine twist and a chest opener. And come out of that and come up to a seated position. We're going to do neuro balls. If you don't have neuro balls, use tennis balls or the yoga tune-up therapy balls. We're going to do both hand. We're going to do the hand series. 6 points, releasing the hands. I highly recommend you're investing in these. Maybe if you as a student really like your neuro balls, maybe you can, while we're doing this, or at some point, make a little testimonial to how helpful these are. Let's see, we're going to do times. So position 1 is just at the top, the palm in the center, pressing on both hands, pressing both hands on your half mounds. Try not to shrug your shoulders. We'll shrug our shoulders later. It's more gentle. So yeah, try not to, just to do the pressure. This is sensory stimulation. That's what the neural balls add to myofascial release, which is available with yoga tune-up therapy balls. Go to the center of your palm, next position.
This is an easy thing to do on a daily basis. You can do it while you're watching TV, when you're in a meeting, when you're on the phone, if you're on the speakerphone.
Mm-hmm. Position number 3 is at the base of the palm. Position 4, outside edges of the palm. inside edge of palm. It's really at the webbing between the thumb and the forefinger. You can sit tall, practice good posture. You may want to lean a little bit, almost a small or a slight hip hinge, flat back. That might help or be better, be more comfortable. Find your posture. The last one is at the thumb pad. Okay, that's it. Shake out the hands. Be grateful for your hands. And recross your legs because we're going to go do a side bend. Floor seated side bend. Starting on the right. And just sliding your right arm out and your left arm up and over. If you can, put your arm up and over. I hope you feel like this is old home week when you get to this, this one.
I love this one.
And you can do it, I hope I've familiarized you with this so much that now go ahead and bend your elbow forward. Top elbow. So much that you just, when you're sitting on the floor, you might think of doing this. Just to while away the time and benefit your body. Elbow first and then torso coming up, other side, side bend. Keep your hips on the floor, breathe. Think of what's happening here. You're getting a really nice opening on the outside of the body, and then the inside, a crunch, torso. Go ahead and elbow forward. Just a little different stretch in the armpit. And then bring your elbow up first, and then your torso up second. Spine rotation. I hope you feel the same way about this one. Left hand on left knee. Bring your right arm behind you. Spider fingers. Sit tall. If you want to add ribcage side, you can. But try to maintain your spinal rotation to the right first. Your chin can be facing forward or it can be facing back towards your shoulder. Either one, whatever is comfortable for you. Or you can move between those 2 points. Slowly unravel and go to the other side. Right hand, right knee, left hand behind you, spider fingers. Sit up tall, maintain, find and maintain a spine twist, thoracic spine twist. If you'd like, you can add the sliding of the rib cage. And slowly unravel from that. And let's see here. We're going to do a prayer pose. So stack knees, prayer pose. So instead of just crossing your legs, bring your knees in front of you if you can and stack them. Very good for opening the, the whole hip area in the sacrum. And then starting in prayer pose, then taking your right hand and then away from you, fingertips away from you and down so that you're creating, watch Kathy, because I can't even do this at this moment. So the fingertips of one hand are up and the other hand are down and you're pushing. And this is a very nice wrist stretch and finger stretch. And come on back, switch sides, switch knees too. Switch your stacked knees. And then start this time with the other hand is up and the opposite hand comes down, creates a wrist stretch. Always an opportunity, these floor-seated positions are always an opportunity to find good posture. Find and practice good posture. For me, that means sitting up. The hips are lifting up out of the pelvis and I squeeze my shoulder blades together to open my chest. All right, undo that, unravel your knees. We're going to stay in a floor-seated position and we're going to do cervical side bends. So just dropping the right ear to the right shoulder. I'm going to stay bent knees because I really like what bent knees does for my sacrum. But you can do whatever floor-seated position you want. And I should be timing this, which I haven't so far. So you get a bonus on this side. Sit tall, drop your right ear to your right shoulder.
Messenger audio.
And then go ahead and drop your chin a little bit. Forward a little bit. And slowly bring your chin up and then bring your entire cervical spine up, left side. Drop your left ear to your left shoulder. I have a friend who I think knows that I teach all day on Saturday, but she's been calling me intermittently, persistently. Go ahead and drop your chin. And I've been, cutting her off consistently. Okay, chin first, and then entire cervical spine comes up. The next thing I want to do is shoulder shrugs, which are pretty easy to do. You can do them seated, standing, and you're just going to shrug as high as you can get. I'm going to do it too, even with my broken arm shoulder, which is out of the sling because my doctor said I could occasionally have it out of the sling.
Oh, really?
And dropped. I'm not moving it. It's not like I'm moving it as if it were totally healed. It's not. I think he might have me take it out of the sling a lot earlier than I did the first time. Just shrugging as high as you can get and then relaxing, just dropping a couple more times. Easy thing to do. So helpful with tight traps, which a lot of us have. And the next thing we're going to do is, I call them shoulder clams. Go ahead and bring your arm, bend your elbows and interlace your fingers in front of your nose. Higher, higher, not that high. Okay, yeah, that's good. I like that. So you're interlacing your fingers and then you create a little hole actually between the base of your palm and your fingers. And then create and interlace your fingers. And there's a little hole there, and then you're going to move from that position. You're going to imagine that you have a balloon between your elbows and you're both inflating and deflating the balloon. So the elbows have to be at least as high as your chin. They can be higher. And you should be feeling this along the back and the back of the shoulders and the upper trapezius. And slowly, deliberately inflating and deflating that balloon. This is another release of the neck and shoulders. And a couple more of those. And then go ahead and release and wiggle your hands and your shoulders and come up to standing. We're going to do a back bend at the wall and a spine twist at the wall and then a shoulder clock. So starting with back bend at the wall, Kathy has to set up the production on this.
Just bear with me for a second here.
And then you're a little bit away from the wall. Your feet are straight forward and the front of your feet are directly in front of the back of your feet. Bring your arms up and over to the wall. See if you can do that. Keep your hips stacked and over your knees. 40 seconds. Bone building, chest opening, back extension. building bone along the the thoracic spine. Slowly unravel. And let's start with a spine twist on the right. So right hip against near the wall, right leg forward, left leg back. Bring your arms up, bend your elbows and spine twist, rotate towards the right. And breathe. See if you can stand up tall. If you can't stand up tall, if you find yourself leaning, you may be a little too far away from the wall. And just breathing and enjoying this amazing spine twist. Bone building, amazing bone building spine twist. And then slowly unravel, go to the other side. Left leg forward, right leg back, bend your elbows, rotate, spinal rotation. I wanted to tell you guys that I have figured out that my naturopath gave me a prescription for the wrong DEXA test. The whole body DEXA test does not measure osteoporosis. It measures some other things. Body composition, for instance. So now I'm trying to get her to admit that, which is very hard. Get me another one, another test. Unravel yourself. Now we're going to do a clock, a shoulder clock against the wall. So stand with your right hip. And with your right hip at the wall and your arm up like Kathy's right out in front of you. And you're going to walk your arm up by your ear, up toward the ceiling and then all the way behind you as far as you can get behind you. And this is, each person is going to be different. Each journey is different. But stand up tall. You may have to get a little farther away from the wall in order to actually bring your arm behind you. Shoulder clock. And now just come on back. And the more you do this, the more closer you're going to be able to get to the wall, your armpit to the wall. One more time. Switch sides. Left arm near the wall and in front of you, and then crawling in a semicircle up and behind. Do your best. Stand tall. One more. Shoulder clock at the wall. While standing shoulder clock at the wall. And now come on down onto all fours. We're going to do a wrist stretch on all fours, wrist and fingers. Hands and knees, come onto your hands and knees. And you're going to do one side at a time. You're going to be on your hands and knees and take the right hand and fingers go back behind you. And let's start. This is a wrist stretch, wrist and finger stretch. Let's start with spider fingers. So lift your palm and play around with, Caitlin had some observations before, play around with how close your hand is to your knee. And you're going to get different stretches in different locations. And I'm going to time you. So you're not going to go down onto your palm yet. That comes next. Stay up on your fingers so that you're stretching your fingers. So this will be a wrist stretch and a finger stretch. And you can crawl your hand along those 2 points between, farther from the knee and closer to the knee. And you can drop your hips a little bit if you want to see what that does. Okay, now do the same thing, but palm down on the floor. So this is a wrist stretch. You may want to drop your hips a little bit or move your hips forward and back. You may want to move your arm closer to your knee or farther away from your knee. Okay, switch sides. Start with spider fingers. And then play around with it. This is the finger stretch. You're still doing some work with your wrist, but mostly finger stretch. And now drop the palm and do the same thing with the wrist. Remember, you can play around with dropping your hips too. Okay, find your way onto your back for Yoga Nidra 61-point guided meditation. You may want to put your bent knees up on a block, like we did in the beginning. You may want to cover yourself with a blanket. You may want to put a small towel over your eyes, just to help your eyeballs drop deep into the sockets. We're going to start by paying attention to the breath, just breathing in and out. And observing your abdomen as it rises and falls. And now bring your attention and your awareness to the center of your eyebrows, center of your throat, right shoulder, elbow, wrist, right thumb, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, fifth finger, right wrist, elbow, shoulder, center of your throat, left shoulder, elbow, wrist, left thumb, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, fifth finger, left wrist, elbow, shoulder, center of your throat, spiritual heart center, right side of your chest, heart center, left side of your chest, heart center, navel center, center of your pelvis, right hip, knee, ankle, right big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe, right ankle, knee, hip, center of your pelvis, left hip, knee, ankle, left big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe, left ankle, knee, hip, center of your pelvis, navel center, heart center, center of your throat, center of your eyebrows. This completes our 61-point guided Yoga Nidra meditation. Go ahead and start to wiggle and stretch, extend your legs in one direction and your arms overhead in the other direction, and wiggle and stretch both arms, both legs, one arm, right side, left side. Start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Circle your ankles and your wrists in one direction and then in the other. And then go ahead and hug your right knee to your chest. And then hug your left knee to your chest. Hug both knees to your chest. And rock from side to side. Slowly releasing the lower back. And then whenever you're ready, roll all the way over onto one side. I want you to stay here for a minute. Use your arm, bottom arm as a pillow. Just feel grateful. Feel the gratitude that your cells are feeling that you came here. And then thank your cells for working with you to make you feel more alive and more in touch with your body. this morning or this afternoon. Whoops, probably morning for most. Now, using your top hand, bring yourself up to a comfortable seated position. I'm going to remove the spotlight. I'm going to fix my view to gallery view, which I can't do for everybody else. So you'll have to do that on your own if you'd like to have the group experience. Find a comfortable seated position. Bring your arms, hands up into prayer pose. Look at me. And press on your hands a little bit, just to spend a few minutes finding some of the work we did in the upper traps and the shoulders. And then soften your prayer pose. Keep your shoulders down, lift your occipital ridge, the skull, up so that you can bow forward. Skull only, the spine stays straight. Nodding, bowing, noticing and acknowledging the light in each of us. Knowing that we are all one light. We're going to continue to bow and say to each other to close the class, Namaste.
Namaste.
Hey.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I'm going
Thank
to
you.
stop the recording.